So lockdown's over. A lot of people have been getting back to the gym, which is great. But I feel like there's this big problem that I think that needs to be addressed and talked about, and it's this talk of genetics. And it's starting to the point where like these brand new lifters, like newbies that have never touched a weight before, are like asking me like, "Hey, bro, do you think my genetics is good for bodybuilding?" And like they would like show me like their bicep test, like, "What do you think of my insertions and stuff?" And it's like, who the fuck gives a shit? Like, it shouldn't matter whether your genetics is good or bad or not, whatever your muscle inserts are, whichever your body fat percentage are. Isn't that the whole? You're going to the gym to change yourself. You shouldn't care about what your genetics are. And I just don't understand why genetics is such like a major topic these days. Like you see on like Instagram and TikTok nowadays, where like people will just boast about like their genetics. It's like, oh bro, like how is your genetics so good? You when you were like 13, you have abs and stuff. Like I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck cares? Like, what? Why is people praising that shit? I don't get it. Why? Why do people reward genetics? It's the most stupid thing. Isn't the whole point of the gym to make yourself better, to overcome your own genetics? And yet, like, I think with this shift in social media, people are starting to praise it so much. Like, just for like a comparison, like, you shouldn't praise like a child that's from a rich family, like, for having a successful life. Because he's pretty much been handed it to him. He doesn't have to do anything extraordinary. Whereas a kid that, he wasn't born up very good, but he made a change and he tried his very best to live a comfortable life, that should be rewarded. Isn't that should be the same, especially for bodybuilding, where we're working literally so hard every day to change ourselves, to make ourselves better, to overcome our own genetics and what we were, the body that we supposedly should have had if we didn't lift, just because of our genetics. Like, if I if I just listen to my genetics, I would still be like 63 kg, this skinny little kid, just playing video games every day, you know? But yet I made a change, and you know, things, and I was saying my change is pretty great, and that's because I didn't listen to my own genetics. I I didn't care. I didn't care if like, my shoulders are too narrow. I didn't care if like, I'm Asian, I'm not meant to build that much muscle, like whatever people say to me. Like, who the fuck cares? Just do your best. Like, if you think about it, gym is the only thing that you can overcome genetics. That everything else, like you can't change your height, you can't change your bone structure, you can't change like, how how your hair is, if you have like genetic like hair loss, there's nothing you really can do about it. But you can make a change to lose body fat and gain some muscle. Everyone can do that, and yet people are just they're just praising. They just care about genetics so much. It's like, oh, they've been handed this thing, and they're praising something that has been handed to them and has come easy. And but now, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying like there's plenty of people with good genetics that work very very hard. And I'm not saying about that. Like, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just saying that you shouldn't care about genetics that much. Like, next time, like, and how do you even know that that guy has good genetics? What if he just has average genetics and he works hard? You could have good genetics and he works average. Like, how do you know? You don't know. Only that person knows. And that person might not even know if he doesn't care that much. You know, if it isn't like truly serious, you might not even pay like thought to it. Like how do you know, right? So just fuck your genetics. Fuck your genetics. Just work fucking hard. You know, just follow a diet, do a training plan, gain some muscle, lose fat, and we can all become better. That's the whole point. There's no point in listening about your own genetics, worrying about like, oh, you know, my body fat set point is 20%. It's like, you know, my ab insertion isn't good. You know, or I have shitty bone structure. I have a wide waist. My bicep inserts in this weird way. It's like, what the fuck? Cares? It doesn't matter at the end of the day as long as you're making gains, right? And like some of these, like some of the newcomers that, you know, asking for advice, they get like demotivated. Like when I tell them that, you know, maybe like your genetics aren't, like I give them honest, when I think about their genetics, like honest opinion, and like they get demotivated. I'm just like, why are you getting demotivated? Like if your level of genetics determine how hard you train, you're in it for the wrong fucking reasons. I'm gonna say that again. If your genetics determine how hard you work out at the gym, you're in it for the wrong fucking reasons, because that mentality will never get you anywhere. Even if you had good genetics, you probably won't go that far anyway. That's just a bad fucking mindset for anything, for life in general. And you know, I think gym is a very good opportunity to change that. So anyway, rants over. Fuck your genetics. I don't give a shit about mine. I don't give a shit about anyone else's. Just fucking work hard. And that's it. Just keep it simple. Free the mind. Stop worrying about others. And that's true tranquility. Thank you.